Hey YouTube, it's me again, Leap. I am here to talk today about in-state tuition. I just recently got in-state tuition at my dental school. I'm going to be a bit careful about the wording that I use when it comes to the dental school, so I'm going to say this disclaimer right now, and I'll probably leave it in the description, that I'm not speaking on behalf of the dental school. I'm not associated with their administration or anything like that, and I'm just speaking about my own experience about doing in-state tuition, and everything that I say in this video is my own opinion, and yeah, it's not associated with the school in any way, I guess, other than that I am a student there. And I'm not going to say the name of the dental school so I don't get in trouble. So there's only one dental school in the state that I'm in. But luckily for me, after a year of out-of-state tuition, we can get in-state. So there's not many dental schools out there that do this. The school that I go to in Maryland is, and there is a bit of a process to do it. Now, this process will differ by school, obviously. So these tips are mainly for the students from the first year class or anybody that's interested in the process of getting in-state tuition if you are thinking about applying to this school. But I just wanted to say, so there is a checklist online, and I will post it in the description of this video, about the petition. So you do fill out this petition. It's kind of lengthy and stuff. It took a lot of printing. I had a lot of information to print out. So explaining like overall about the petition, if I would try to get all of the petition items around a year before, if possible. There's some things that you can't do a year before, like applying or doing your taxes. So obviously you have to do those as needed, like as they come up. I don't know if that's the right wording, but essentially you have to do your taxes when they're due, or prior to when they're due. But I'm just gonna go down the checklist, so I'll be posting it if you want to follow with me. If not, just look at that, and then you don't even need this video. But I just wanted to say, because it was a misunderstanding that I had about the process of getting in-state. So it is not a complicated process unless it needs to be. If you meet all the requirements that are on this checklist, then theoretically it should be a straightforward process to get in-state. But if you are missing any of these materials, then there's a possibility that you might get denied, and then you can appeal. Now, the appealing process is different than the application process. The appealing process requires much more, and if you are what's it called? If you probably heard from some other people, upperclassmen and stuff, that you might need letters of recommendation from a Maryland resident, or you should probably get, keep your receipts from things, or get a membership at the aquarium or something like that in order to get in-state, or do volunteer hours. Now, while those are important, they're mainly important for the appeal process. And if you don't have to appeal, then you don't have to worry about those things. So if you can get those things done, or if you can get everything else on this checklist, then hopefully you won't ever need to appeal. So I guess that was kind of my misunderstanding, because I had gotten some of these things because I wasn't sure, and I got approved without those things, so I never needed them for the appeal. But they're important if you need to appeal. So on this checklist. The first thing is essentially the actual application. So the application itself, I don't even know if I have the application. Okay, yes, I do. The application itself is 10 pages long. It asks about, like, you know, the year you're admitted, where you're living, stuff like that, if you've been employed. Now, I work at the school's gym. This is useful for me because, you know, getting in state is a lot easier when you work here. But it will ask you about the employers for the past 2 years. So prior to moving to Maryland, I lived in California doing DoorDash. So I had to put information from being employed through DoorDash. And then I just put my current work of working at the school gym as well with this. They ask about income tax. So when I talked about earlier about income tax stuff, you have to file taxes in Maryland. I mean, you don't have to, but even if you don't make any money, it's better to have Maryland taxes for in-state residency purposes. So even if you don't make an income, I highly recommend filing taxes. Just put that you don't have any income. If you worked in another state, obviously you're going to need to file taxes for the other state, but you should file taxes for Maryland. Otherwise, you have to write a statement on why you did not file taxes in Maryland, which could put you at a disadvantage and possibly be a reason why you could be denied. Now, it's not to say that you will get denied if you don't file taxes in Maryland. It's just one possibility of why you may get denied, at least from what I understand. So try to file taxes, even if you make no income. Just file taxes. So if you're like me and you made money in a different state, you also have to file taxes in that other state, obviously. You do have to write a statement, just a typed up statement, on why you filed taxes in a different state. It doesn't need to be a long statement. I made mine like 2 sentences. Essentially, I was self-employed. I don't get taxed for, someone who's self-employed, I don't get taxed on this income, so I have to file taxes to essentially get taxed on my self-employed income. So something like that, you know, if you worked in a different state, you are required to file taxes. You can even just say something as simple as that. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, if you filed taxes in Maryland, hopefully you do, but, you know, there's cases where you didn't file taxes in Maryland. You have to write the statement, but if you file taxes in Maryland, you have to go to the comptroller's office and pick up an official certified copy of your tax returns. So I just made an appointment. No, I didn't even make an appointment. I just walked in. It was pretty straightforward. There wasn't a line or anything like that. I took a lift over, just went up to the office and got a certified copy. They have to stamp it. I don't know if that's a requirement, but when I told the comptroller's office that, they asked what it was for, and I said for school, so they made sure it was certified for them. So yeah, they stamped it. And then it asks if you are dependent or not. This is important for filing taxes, as well as if you're a dependent, then who you're dependent of, are they Maryland residents, et cetera, et cetera. So just that's important. And then they ask about your expenses. I used my SERF's information for this, and it wasn't exact, so I just kind of tried to do the best of my abilities and what I could get proof for. So I printed out the financial aid summary table and used that information to fill this out. Yeah, and if you have W-2s, pay stubs, information like that, this is also what you'll use to fill out this expense form. Yeah, just put it to the best of your abilities on this information. If you have questions, I know that there's someone that you can call and contact to ask specific questions about this. Yeah, let's see. Leasing stuff. So they want you to have 12 months of residency here. And if you don't have 12 months of residency, this is also a reason why you might be denied. But they want you to show continuous 12 months of residency without a break in your lease or without a break in residency. So if you don't have this, then you want to write a statement about why you don't have 12 months residency, and you know, why you might not have been living in Maryland or having Maryland as your residence for 12 months. So they also require you to have proof of payment for this. I did not have it, and they did contact me afterwards. I thought maybe my statements from my checking and savings account would show that I have payments. And unless I highlighted and specified that these were the payments, they did not accept that. So I actually just asked my leasing office here in my apartment to give me a full ledger for this, and then I sent it in, and that was fine with them. So you want a full ledger or proof that you have made payments for your rent or for your housing. Okay. If you have a car, which I do not, I got rid of my car when I moved here, then you want your car to be registered in state. I don't know the details about this because I don't have a car, but I know that you need to have your car registered during the 12 months prior to the last date to register for classes. That's what it says. And then getting your driver's license. So you will want to have your driver's license for 12 months prior to applying. So the first thing I did when I got to Maryland was I got my driver's license changed. And yeah, they want you to have your driver's license for 12 months. So it should be the first thing that you do. And also voter registration. So as soon as you get here, also changing your voter registration. Now apparently they give you like a copy in the mail about your voter registration. Now I don't know what happened to mine, and I ordered another one. There's the webpage, you can order another one. I also did not get that in time, so I didn't turn it in. But there online, you are able to print your voter registration, and it seems like that was enough for getting in-state residency. So yeah, citizenship status, obviously whatever documents needing to prove that you're a resident or a citizen, and then there are a couple parts in the application that you would need to fill out if you're a dependent. I did not need to fill those out, so I'm not sure about those. I know that there are probably people in my class that had to, but I'm just not familiar with that information. And then the last section on here, section 5 that's on the application, is the rebuttal evidence. So this is essentially what things that you can use if you are denied for in-state residency. So you don't need to turn in any of this information unless you are appealing the decision that you were denied for residency. So this information is not something that you need to be concerned about unless you are denied and are appealing. But it's still something that I know a lot of people get this stuff ready in case they are denied. So that would be employment. I'm just reading down the list. Employment. What's it called? Letter of recommendations from a Maryland citizen or Maryland resident. And these could also just be like somewhere that you worked or volunteered at or writing this, a friend of yours in the class that also is a resident, a religious organization that you go to, like a church, whatever it is, that's who you would get to write you a letter of recommendation, as long as they're a Maryland resident. And then they selective service registration. I don't know what that is, and I'm not familiar with that. Marriage certificate if you're married to a Maryland resident, or that you attended schools in Maryland from grades like kindergarten through 12th grade. Obviously got accepted, so I didn't need this, but I did attend middle school in Maryland, so I could have used this if I needed to. Evidence that the student is showing, okay, so this is essentially for address purposes, so like health insurance, auto insurance record, bank accounts, tax records, stuff like that. And on that note, you do need copies of your checking and savings accounts. If you can get a yearly, like an annual statement, that's better. My bank account didn't have them, so I had to print out month to month. After going over this application, I think I'm gonna go over the checklist because that's a different thing. But this is just going over the application. I know this video is getting kind of long, but I'm gonna do my best to kind of hurry up then. Yeah. Employment changes. It says evidence of life and employment changes that causes students to relocate to Maryland for reasons other than primary educational purposes. So when you are doing the application for in-state residency, you cannot use Maryland or moving to Maryland for educational purposes as the reason for moving to Maryland, or you will get denied. I'll go on that in just a little bit now that I'm going to move on to the checklist. So I'm going to talk about the checklist. So once you filled out that application, the form, then I go over the checklist to make sure I have everything. Obviously, everything stated in the application is things that you need to have proof for, but the checklist kind of helps organize and figure out what items you need for the form. So let's see, the comptroller's tax returns, so obviously your tax returns, even your Maryland tax returns and your, like for me, California tax returns. Your W-2 forms, 1099, pay stubs, stuff like that. And then an explanation on why you filed state taxes in a different state or for more than one state, if applicable. So if it was I filed taxes in California and not just Maryland, I need to write a statement for that. And then complete expenses and support section. Okay, so financial aid award letters. Trust investment fund statements, didn't need that for me. Checkings and savings account, so all 12 months all 12 months that, like, from the period of time that you're applying for. So like if I'm doing, I think mine started in, sorry, I'm messing this up, I'm sorry. From September of 2022 to August of 2023. That's the 12 months range in which I needed all of this information for, because I was applying for in-state residency in August. So I needed to have all 12 months of statements from checking and savings accounts, or just an annual statement, but I didn't have one of those for my bank. So I printed all 12 months. W-2s or recent pay stubs, I printed those out in addition to my tax returns. And then full promissionary notes. So when you do your financial aid, they will require you, or in your financial aid, you're required to do a master promissionary note. This information you can find on the student government I think it's called Student Gov or something like that. This is the financial aid website, where you apply for financial aid. You're going to be printing the master permissionary note that you signed there. So if you go log in, you can go to documents and find your master permissionary note that you signed. It's 14 pages. That's what you're printing. And then it says, if you have contribution from a family member or spouse, please provide a notarized statement indicating the contribution. I did not. Me and Gabe are not married yet. We will be getting married, but after dental school, so none of this was applicable to me. But if you have a spouse, you also need to include a notarized statement about their contribution to your income. A statement explanation regarding the circumstances that brought you to the state of Maryland. Documentation that you owned, rented, or continuously occupied, including during weekends, breaks, vacations, and living quarters in Maryland. So I personally have not left Maryland. Like, when I got here last year, I have not left the state at all. Not for vacation, not for the weekend. I have not, or I guess I went to DC. Different story. So I did leave to DC, but I haven't left the area, the DMV area, other than maybe for a day trip. Like, I have not left overnight. So this was fairly easy for me, that I have been here during all the vacations, all the breaks, everything like that. So it was pretty easy for me to just give them a statement or my lease, and if I needed to prove that I never left, my bank statements would be able to show that. But you have to actually write a statement on why you moved to Maryland, and it cannot be for educational purposes. So I can't say I got into dental school and I moved to Maryland. No, you need to write about anything other than that, like you moved here for the food, or you moved here for religious reasons, like there's a church here that you wanted to go to want to be a part of. You moved here because you wanted to see the livelihood of Baltimore. You moved here because you have a friend that lives here, a family that lives here. You moved here for whatever other reasons. My explanation essentially was that I lived in Maryland as when I was in middle school, and I had a friend that I met here, and we always talked about moving to Baltimore. All of these are true statements. Me and Caitlin, my friend, who I had signed a lease with here in Baltimore, who had moved out, which is why I've moved to a smaller apartment, we decided that, like, when we were a kid, that we both wanted to move to Baltimore together, and essentially those dreams came true 15 years later. But also, my dad is from Bel Air, and he is very familiar with the Baltimore area. He went to school here, and it was just a lot easier to write about that. I essentially said the more and more I spend time in Baltimore, the more and more I feel connected with my dad, because me and him talk a lot about parts about Maryland that he lived or seen, and it's a nice connection that I have with my dad. My dad's still around. He's in Mexico, and I still talk to him, but it's just nice because we can talk about, like, parts in my dad's life that he experienced when he was younger. So anyway, that's kind of a tangent, but that's what I wrote about. So that, and then your lease, and then statement and explanation of regarding why you did not occupy living quarters in Maryland. So that's if you didn't have a 12-month lease, or there's any reason that you left Maryland during those 12 months. And then that I just want to say, like, if you have not been here for all 12 months, it's going to make it harder to get in state, just from what I understand, because it's just one more reason why they would deny you. So having a lease here showing that you've lived here all 12 months is it's going to be a lot easier to get in state. But then copy of vehicle registration. So this is if you need to change your vehicle to being having Maryland plates and being registered in Maryland. Front and back copy of your driver's license, voter registration, as I said earlier, the official copy that you received, or just a printed copy is also okay. Citizenship status, so birth certificate, passport, whatever, proving your citizenship status or resident status. And then it says rebuttal evidence, so include letters of recommendation. I did not include this because I did not have to rebut or appeal the decision that they made. So yeah, did not need that. Yeah, it says 12 months period, so I'm just gonna read this for fall if you're applying in fall. September of last year, so for me it was September of 22, to August of current year, so August of 2023. So all of my documents should be from within that 12-month date. If you're applying in spring, they have the spring dates of February of last year to January of current year, the summer or the winter terms. So that, all of that information I'll be putting in the description, so you guys have that. And that's, yeah, that's the video, I guess. I have, what was I gonna say? It didn't take long for them to get back to me. I heard already, and it's, I heard this past week, I think, or this week or this past week, something like that. You know, and it's September 4th. So I heard at the very end of August, essentially. I can't even remember when I applied. I think the week before school started. So the 15th, something like that. The 15th of August, or the beginning of August. And I already heard back. It only took a couple weeks. It says that it will take longer, and it may take longer. Just depends on how many applications they're looking at and probably a lot of other factors, but it didn't take long for me to hear back from it, maybe about a month. I might have applied sooner than that. I can't even remember. School's been kind of hitting me. D2 has been, like, it's not bad, but I'm still getting used to having the 3-month break and then suddenly having lots of school. It's kind of jarring because I forgot how to study. Anyway, but I just wanted to make this video because I know that a lot of the D1s have questions about this, and it is kind of confusing. It was confusing for me, but it's not as difficult of a process as I was led to believe, but it is a long process, and there was so, like, my packet was like this thick. I had printed it downstairs. It cost me $80 to print all the papers that I needed for it. And it was a lot of paper, like it was a ton of paper. I had to ask them to refill the printer, and you know, it's because I spent like over an hour, I spent like a couple hours down there just printing papers. So yeah, it's just like a lot of work, but it's not a hard process to print all of these things. I was just printing, you know, and then just making sure all of your papers are organized. But okay, if you guys need any, sorry, if you guys have any more questions or anything, you can always message me on my Instagram. It's @thinkinginprogress. I don't have my dental page anymore. I made a video about that prior, but yeah, that's just my personal Instagram. Don't expect much for dental stuff. It's not a public Instagram. I should probably specify that. It's my private Instagram, but if anyone's interested, like, you guys are my friends and not my followers. If you guys need anything, you can always just message me directly, and I can respond and hopefully help with any specifics. Now, I'm not a person that's representing the school, so I can just help as a peer or as another student, but I'm not speaking on, I don't know what the school is looking for, isn't looking for in regards to the in-state residency. So yeah, I can only help on that regard. But you know, I got in-state, so hopefully I can help you get in-state. But also hopefully this makes it a little bit more clear on what you need to do for in-state residency. So okay, on that aspect, I should probably get back to studying. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.